Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jesly De La Cruz, and I serve as Executive Director for the Latino Action Network Foundation. I will be moderating today's webinar panel discussion. Before we get started today, I would like to share with you the available features to help facilitate language access. I will be making this announcement in English and Spanish. Bienvenidos a todos. Mi nombre es Jesly De La Cruz y soy la directora ejecutiva de la Fundación para la Red de Acción Latina en Nueva Jersey. Yo voy a moderar el panel de discusión del seminario de web de hoy. Antes de comenzar hoy, me gustaría compartir con ustedes las funciones disponibles para ayudar a facilitar el acceso a idiomas. Haré este anuncio en inglés y en español. We invite everyone to select their language of choice to be part of this multilingual space. Please select English if you have limited Spanish proficiency. This way, you will be able to hear today's panel discussion in English. For those of you who will speak in English, please remember to speak slower than usual because we do use 30% more words in Spanish to say the same thing said in English. I would like to introduce you to Carmelo Cintron Vivas, who will be providing simultaneous translation today. If you are on a computer, you will see a globe at the bottom right of your window that says interpretation. Please ensure a check mark is in English and hit done. For panelists, please make sure you are in the English channel. If you are on a cell phone or a tablet, locate the three dots, place a check mark on English to access the discussion in English. This last step is important to access this discussion if English is your language of choice. Unfortunately, interpretation will not work on Chromebooks or if you are dialing into the meeting. Also, please make sure your Zoom application is updated. Please use the chat for any questions regarding accessing interpretation. Les invitamos a todos a seleccionar su idioma de preferencia para poder formar parte de este espacio multilingüe. Seleccione el español si está limitado en su dominio del inglés. Me gustaría, de esta manera podrá escuchar el intérprete del inglés al español. Me gustaría presentarles a Carmelo Cintron Vivas, quien ofrecerá traducción simultáneamente. Si está en su computadora, hay un globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla que dice interpretación, donde podrá seleccionar español. Ponga la marca de verificación para seleccionar español y poder escuchar la interpretación del inglés al español. Si está usando su celular o tableta, ubique los tres puntitos y ponga la marca de verificación en español y seleccione Done o finalizar. Este último paso es muy importante para activar la interpretación. Lamentablemente, la interpretación no funcionará en Chromebooks o si está llamando por teléfono a la reunión. Finalmente, asegúrese de que su aplicación de Zoom está actualizada. Dirija cualquier pregunta relacionada con el acceso a la interpretación en el chat. Thank you. Gracias. I will now allocate Carmelo as the interpreter, and this feature will begin. I will give you all a moment to allocate the globe at the bottom right of your panel, of your window, and choose your language of choice. Daré un momento para ustedes encontrar el globo al inferior de su pantalla y elegir su idioma preferido. Okay. Welcome everyone to this event, which is co-sponsored by the Latino Action Network Foundation, New Jersey Citizen Action, and the Anti-Poverty Anti-Poverty Network of New Jersey. We hope to provide attendees with current information on rental assistance and protections available for those economically affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We are recording this webinar, and both the English and Spanish version will be available on our social media. Today's panelists include Janel Winter, who is the Director for the Division of Housing and Community Resources at the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. Janel has more than 15 years of experience working in affordable housing, homelessness prevention, and community development. She will be providing an overview of the programs and services for rental assistance and protections for those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Leila Amirhamzeh is the Director of Development at New Jersey Citizen Action. She is a graduate from the Rutgers School of Law and will provide an overview of services for renters available at New Jersey Citizen Action. Renee Koubiadis is the Director of the Anti-Poverty Network Program at the New Jersey Citizen Action. She has extensive experience working in advocacy and social service with New Jersey's most vulnerable communities. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. And I will pass over the stage to Janel to start our discussion.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to this forum. I want to speak first about the COVID-19 emergency rental assistance programs that are available in New Jersey through the Department of Community Affairs, as well as the protections from eviction that are available as well. To start off with, New Jersey offers currently 2 programs that can assist with arrears in rent that have accrued from the start of the pandemic, as well as up to 2 years of future rent. These programs are the U.S. Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program and the State Eviction Prevention Program. And the 2 programs are bundled into one, so you only need to apply once and you're considered for both. And that's through our COVID-19 Emergency Rental Assistance Program, CVRAP is what we affectionately call it. So by putting in one application, you can be considered for, through ERAP, up to 12 months of rental arrears, or that could also include 3 months of future rent, and through the eviction prevention program, up to 2 years of future rent. So you can do both paying back rent that you owe, and then additional rent to help you in the future to make your housing affordable to you. And these programs are available to people who've been economically impacted by COVID, who live in New Jersey, and who are under 120% of the area median income. So for these programs, the way you apply is you can go to our website at nj.gov/DCA, and there is a link to apply through what we call a pre-application. You can do that on a computer, you can do it on a tablet, you can do it on a cell phone. At this point, you're not uploading any documents, anything like that. You're just answering a few questions about who you are, where you live, what you owe, your circumstances, those sort of things. And then what we do is every day we draw a lottery from all of the applications that we have in-house and select some people, and we reach out to them and we ask them to send us a little bit more information so that we can complete the application. And if someone's eligible, pay their back rent and pay future rent. So some of the information we'll look for then will be information as to whether you have been economically impacted by the pandemic.
I'm sorry, Janel, just to step in. I was wondering if you could also slow the speech down a little bit so that the interpretation can be accurate. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I get amped up.
I know.
So some of the information that we will ask you to provide at that point is, have you been economically impacted by the pandemic? You could have lost a job. Maybe you drove Uber and for a time, nobody was taking Uber, so you couldn't do that. It could be that you had extra expenses. Could be that you had to take some time off work to care for children who couldn't go to school. All of these things count. You can self-attest that these things happened. So you don't need to have a document from someone else. You can just yourself explain what happened, sign that it's true, and give us that information. We'll ask how many people are in your household. We will ask what your income is. We will ask, and that's something that you can just tell us too. You can self-attest to that. And we'll ask you for information from your landlord. And then if that's processed and you're eligible, we will pay back rent to your landlord. That back rent can have accrued all the way back to March 2020. And if you're selected for the EPP program, we will pay every month for 24 months. We will pay future rent as long as you're eligible for that. So this is a program that can both pay your back rent and can go ahead and pay future rent as well. The pre-application and the application are available in 10 languages. If you have questions, or for people who don't have internet access or aren't comfortable doing it on a computer or a phone, we have a call center. That call center is open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And staff speak both English and Spanish. And we have access to translation services for other languages. And that number is 609-490-4550. And they can answer questions about putting in an application or about your application. They can also take your pre-application right over the phone. So you can just give that information right over the phone at the call center, and then you'll be considered for the program. Now, we have received from US Treasury, we received more than $600 million for the US ERAP program. To date, we've spent nearly $400 million of those funds, serving more than 42,000 households. So, and I'm happy to say that for the past few months, we've actually been the top state in the country in terms of getting that money out to people who need it. What that means, though, is that we are moving through those funds. We've also received $500 million for that future rent program. Again, that sounds like a lot of money, but we anticipate that in the next few months, we will have received applications and selected all of the people whose rent we can pay with that money for 2 years. So I really encourage anyone who thinks they might be eligible to go ahead and apply right now. It's very important. And then if you are selected, if you get that email or that call or that letter in the mail saying that you've been selected, make sure to respond. And if you have questions or you're not sure what to do, or maybe a document seems confusing or you don't have it, for instance, some people don't have leases. That's okay, you don't need a lease. You need to tell us, that you live there. You need to attest to that. But if you don't have a lease, you still may owe rent and we can still help you. Some people worry that their landlords won't participate, won't give us the information we need to do this. And landlords in New Jersey aren't allowed to do that. They are required to participate. But we all know that sometimes people don't do what they're required to do. In those cases, we try and work with your landlord. But if they will not comply, we can make a payment directly to you as the tenant for you to pay your landlord. And then we will also report your landlord to the Division on Civil Rights because they weren't obeying the rules, the laws that they need to obey in New Jersey. So very much encourage people to apply for that assistance. We want to help you. That's what it's there for. The other thing I want to mention is the protections we have against eviction if you self-certify. For a long time, New Jersey had a moratorium on evictions during the pandemic. Evictions could not be executed. That moratorium has been lifted, but we do have protections. You just have to self-certify to get them. They're not automatic. If you're below 120% of the area median income and you self-certify that, If you have any rent arrears going back to March 2020 and you're eligible, you can never be evicted for that arrears from March 2020 through August 31, 2021. You owe that to your landlord. You have to pay it as civil debt, but your landlord can't make you leave because of it, and they can't report you to a credit bureau for it. If you are at 80% of AMI or below, and you've been economically impacted by COVID, and you've applied for rental assistance, might not have gotten it, but you applied, you're eligible for even more protection. You are eligible, if you self-certify, for protection for any rent arrears from March 2020 through the end of this calendar year, December 31st, 2021. These are really great protections. They don't expire on December 31st, 2021. Any rent accrued before that, if you're eligible, you can never be evicted for. You can't be evicted for it in February. So it's really important to self-certify, and luckily it's really easy. If you go to our website at nj.gov/DCA, there's a link directly to the form. You don't upload any documents. You answer a few questions. It automatically generates the self-certification letter for you. You attest that it's true, and then you can print off a copy or save a copy and give a copy to your landlord. And if you're ever an eviction is filed against you, you send that to the court. If an eviction's already been filed against you, you enter your docket number in and we'll send it to the court for you, so that's documented. We also check with the court every week to see if evictions have been filed for anyone who's self-certified, and then we send the court that self-certification so they know the eviction cannot go through. If you're not comfortable with computers or you have questions, again, we have a call center, 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 609-490-4550. If you need to, you can do this self-certification over the phone and they'll mail it to you. So you have that copy for yourself and a copy to give your landlord. These are great, great protections. We're very lucky to have them. And it's great that they can protect people, but you do have to self-certify. Really easy. I encourage everyone who has any rental arrears during that period, as soon as this call is over, go right to the website, or probably one way, I think we'll still be open at the call center after this is over. Call the call center and do that certification now. It takes less than 10 minutes and then you're protected. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Janel. I noticed that Renee also put in the chat resources for the emergency rental assistance application and the self-protection certification form. So I'd like to introduce Leila Amirhamzeh. I will pass the floor over to you.
Thank you so very much, and a huge thank you, Jessely, and thank you, Janel, for that really comprehensive information. It was so wonderful. I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to share. And just so everyone knows, while this is in English, we will also be translating this PowerPoint presentation into Spanish and sending it over to Jessely and her team, so that way they can share that with you in Spanish as well. So again, my name is Leila Amirhamzeh, and I'm with New Jersey Citizen Action. And for those of you who may not know about New Jersey Citizen Action, who we are or what we do, we are a statewide nonprofit organization that fights for social, racial, and economic justice for all. What makes us unique as an organization is that we work on issue advocacy around issues that are important to New Jersey families, like healthcare, housing, consumer protection, and workers' rights. And we combine that issue advocacy work with the provision of free direct services to more than 15,000 families across New Jersey. All of our free services are available in all 21 counties across New Jersey. and they are available in both English and Spanish. Right now, our free services are provided mostly virtually, like our webinar today, as well as over the phone. And some of our free services are also available in person. In case you're interested in accessing any of our free services, we provide free tax preparation and ITIN application assistance and renewal. We also answer questions about the stimulus and the child tax credits. If you had any trouble accessing those credits, you can contact us so long as you make less than $65,000 a year. And that service is available year round, even beyond the end of the tax season. We also provide free one-on-one first-time homebuyer counseling, rental counseling, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and foreclosure counseling for homeowners who are having trouble with their mortgage. We provide free healthcare enrollment assistance, and you may have heard this week is the start of the open enrollment period in New Jersey. And so if you or someone you know, if you lost your insurance during the pandemic, or you aren't insured and you want to know what type of affordable coverage is available to you, or if you qualify for Medicaid or family care in New Jersey, you can reach out and we can provide that enrollment assistance right over the phone, in person, or virtually. We are also a fair housing agency, and so we provide education on fair housing, and we can also investigate complaints if you think that you're the victim of housing discrimination. And we provide free financial education workshops and webinars, as well as one-on-one financial coaching for anyone who may have debt and you've been struggling during the pandemic. Our coaches can work with you to help you with a budget and repairing your credit and dealing with debt, whether it's student loan debt or any type of consumer debt. So if you'd like any information about New Jersey Citizen Action, you can visit us on our website, which is njcitizenaction.org. And you can actually translate, there's a translate button on our website, so everything can be translated into Spanish. You can also follow us on social media at NJ Citizen Action on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
So Leila, I also want to provide a reminder just to maybe pause in between sentences to allow for translation support.
Sure, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
So one important reminder to everyone regarding your rights, there are important protections at both the federal level and here at the state level in New Jersey around fair housing and protecting you from housing discrimination. When we talk about fair housing, we're talking about the right of all people to be free from discrimination when you are renting, when you are purchasing, or whether you are financing your housing. And the federal law prohibits discrimination on the basis of your race, your color, your national origin, your religion, your sex, your familial status, that means whether or not you have children under the age of 18 or you are pregnant, and your disability. And the state of New Jersey, the New Jersey law against discrimination, actually provides additional protections on the basis of your gender, your sexual orientation, your gender identity or expression, and your source of lawful income, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes. And it's important to know that fair housing laws protect you regardless of your status, whether you are a refugee, regardless of your immigration status, and regardless of your religion. So just so people understand what it means if you are discriminated against. Housing discrimination really means that someone is blocking your access to housing. They are treating you differently as a renter or a home buyer, or denying you the right to buy or rent a home, even though you can afford it, all because you're a member of a group that the law protects. So some examples of housing discrimination could be someone refuses to sell you, rent you, or show you available housing. You see signs that say no kids allowed. The landlord refuses to make accommodations for someone with a disability. Sexual harassment by someone, the landlord or the super. And also refusing to accept rental voucher, Section 8 voucher, housing voucher, or as Janel mentioned, the emergency rental assistance for anyone impacted, economically impacted by COVID. The most important thing to do if you think you're the victim of housing discrimination is to get help and to report it. So you can call New Jersey Citizen Action. You can email us at the email you see on the screen, fhintake@newjerseycitizenaction.org. And you can also call us at that phone number on the screen. And we are available again to provide assistance in both English and Spanish. The one thing I wanted to just let everyone know, as Janel mentioned, because there are these wonderful rental assistance programs that are made available by the state, unfortunately, there are many landlords who either don't know that the law requires them to accept those rental assistance programs, or they refuse to accept the rental assistance, or they refuse to help you in the application process. And that would be considered a form of housing discrimination under New Jersey state law, the New Jersey Law Against Discrimination. So again, if someone tells you that, if you're not sure if someone is discriminating against you, please contact Citizen Action, and you can call us at the number on the screen. Now, in the next couple of slides, there's some information that Janel, a lot of the information actually that Janel already covered, so I'm not going to repeat all of that, but you'll have the slides there to refer back to. And most importantly, you know, it's really highlighting the new housing protections for New Jersey renters that were signed into law by Governor Murphy back in August. And that new law provides protections for renter households that experienced economic hardship during the pandemic. And it provides eviction protections at different household income levels. And it also it restricts the reporting of unpaid rent or debt that you owe during the pandemic to credit reporting agencies and debt collection agencies. And as Janel mentioned, whether you can be evicted depends on your household income, your need, and other circumstances. And I don't want to repeat too much the information that Janel already mentioned. But the most important thing that we just want to keep reminding everyone about is that in order for these new protections to apply to you, you must self-certify as a tenant under penalty of perjury that you were unable to make your rent payments, you were habitually late with your rent, or the landlord didn't accept a rent increase due to the pandemic for the time period of March 1st, 2020 and August 31st of this year. And as Janel mentioned, if you are below 80% of the area median income, you may actually have additional protections through December 31st of 2021. There are some exceptions to these eviction protections. If there are any emergency circumstances, for example, in the case of violence, criminal activity, or extreme property damage, a landlord can move to evict you immediately. So it's important to know what the exceptions are under New Jersey law. This slide, again, is a reminder about that important self-certification form. And again, it includes that, that number that Janel mentioned, the state assistance number, You can also reach out to New Jersey Citizen Action to provide assistance. We are here to help you, whether you're a tenant or a landlord. We will be providing assistance in English and Spanish in completing that self-certification form, in submitting waitlist applications or the pre-applications, and any applications for rental assistance funds. There are rental assistance funds that are made available by the state of New Jersey, as well as by 14 counties across the state, as well as the city of Jersey City and Newark. And so we're able to assist you in accessing those funds. You are able to apply for assistance in more than one of those programs, so long as you are not receiving any assistance for the same time period. There can't be any duplicative time period that's covered by those programs. We can also provide free webinars, workshops, and come to your events if you belong to a community organization to educate tenants and landlords about the new eviction protections, and also can provide that information again in English and Spanish. You can reach out to us at this email address, evictionprevention@njcitizenaction.org. And we will also be having a toll-free number in the next few days. And folks can also come to our new office that will be opening shortly in Elizabeth if you'd like assistance in person. A few other things that people should be aware of regarding new housing protections. If you are protected by the new law, then you cannot be locked out by your landlord. It is a crime for your landlord to lock you out if you are protected by the new law. And if a landlord does lock you out, you do have recourse. You can call the local police department, or if you receive a notice of a lockout from your landlord, you can actually call a free legal services provider. And at the end of this webinar, at the end of this slide deck, there are actually numbers and email addresses for the free legal service provider, so that way you have a number to refer to. One thing that you should remember is that regardless of whether or not you receive these additional protections, your rent is still due and you should pay it if you can. If you don't pay it, your landlord can still demand the rest of the rent. They can still sue you in court to collect the rent that you did not pay during this period, but they cannot evict you because of your rental debt for the time period that's covered. They cannot sue you for any rent that was paid by the government or a nonprofit that's giving you rental assistance. So if a landlord received your rental assistance payment, they cannot sue you for that amount of money. One thing we would tell everyone is, if you're not sure of what your rights are, if you have any questions, call the state of New Jersey. You can also call a HUD certified housing counseling agency like New Jersey Citizen Action or other agencies that are here to help. And please make sure that you do not pay for any type of assistance. There are a lot of organizations out there, scam artists, that will tell you they can help you for a fee. Just make sure you know that you can receive free assistance from the state and from organizations like Citizen Action. And again, as Janel mentioned, don't wait to complete the certification form, and don't wait to apply for that emergency rental assistance for the lottery, because the funds will eventually run out. So you want to make sure you have access to that assistance. And this slide, again, it just reiterates what Janel mentioned about the state's program. Another important note about that program is that you can apply for any of those programs regardless of your immigration status. So there is no question about immigration status on any of the rental assistance programs. So you don't have to worry about that impacting any future opportunities to change your legal status. One other note, even though we're focusing on rental assistance, I do want to let you know you can tell your families, friends that may be homeowners who were impacted by the pandemic, that the state of New Jersey is also making available a New Jersey Homeowner Assistance Fund. And that fund will provide financial assistance for homeowners who've experienced a significant reduction in their income due to the pandemic and are falling behind on their mortgage. New Jersey Citizen Action is an approved counseling agency that is working with HMFA, the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. That's the agency that's responsible for administering the Homeowner Assistance Program. So if you have any questions, you can contact New Jersey Citizen Action. The application for that program is not yet open, but it should be open in the near future. They're just waiting for an approval from the Treasury Department. So one final things just to remember to protect yourself. Don't wait to get help. Contact a HUD certified housing counselor or another community organization today, whether you are a renter or a homeowner. Remember that the longer you wait, the more difficult it will be to avoid eviction or foreclosure and to catch up on your housing payments. You also don't want to miss out on that rental assistance funding. Don't ignore mail from your landlord, from the New Jersey courts, or from your mortgage company, your mortgage servicer. Don't get pressured into signing documents with blank lines or spaces, or documents that you haven't read or you don't fully understand. And again, a reminder, do not pay any organization or any individual for assisting you with these application programs, because there is free assistance available from the state as well as from organizations like Citizen Action. And finally, the last two slides are just the slides of the different resource organizations that's there for your information. And the last slide here is the contact information for New Jersey Citizen Action and all of our free programs and services. So if anybody has any questions, if you'd like to speak with someone at Citizen Action, you can reach out to me, you can reach out, you can go on our website, you can go on our social media, or contact any of the programs directly. But thank you all so very much for letting us join the webinar tonight.
Thank you, Leila. The information was very informative. And you'll have the PowerPoint available in Spanish as well, right? Okay, and we will share that.
Yes, we're in the process of translating, and I'll get it to you so you can share it with the participants.
Great, thank you. So I'd like to introduce, if you could stop your share, Leila, that would be great.
I think it's Renee that's sharing that. Yeah.
Is it Renee now? Okay, let me. I just want to highlight Renee so that you're the primary person. Perfect. Thank you. Renee, you have the floor.
Thanks so much. And thanks to all my fellow panelists and Jessie and the Latino Action Network Foundation for doing this tonight and getting this important information out to folks across the state. So as you heard from Janel and Leila, we have great protections and assistance available in New Jersey. These are some of the strongest protections and assistance levels in the United States for renters impacted by the pandemic. We strongly encourage you to take advantage of these protections for yourself and for your family. And I'm just going to touch on a couple of quick things that others may have mentioned briefly, but just to go in a little bit more detail before we get to Q&A. Obviously, we've talked.
Renee, I just want to be a reminder, friendly reminder for the interpretation as well.
Sorry.
Thank you. It's okay.
Sorry. You know, we already talked about the law against discrimination, and certainly income-based discrimination that landlords have to accept forms of rental assistance like the programs we're talking about this evening. And you can access the flyer shown on the right-hand side of the screen through the link on the left-hand side if you want to get more detail and information. And you can also, if you feel like your rights have been violated, you can also file a complaint online with the New Jersey Division of Civil Rights at the Attorney General's office. If you need assistance, you can call them at 1-833-653-2748, and we can put that in the chat in a little bit too. And then I'll just go quickly to the next slide in case we have questions. So again, with the legal assistance, I know that Leila put up the link for Legal Services of New Jersey, but here is their hotline, which is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5:30. And the information in Spanish on the link at the bottom of the screen as well. So you may qualify for legal help if you think you need it for landlord-tenant matters. Again, you can visit their website at lsnj.org or call the number on the screen for assistance and get assistance in Spanish as well. So just some reminders, if you are behind in rent and you've already had an eviction filing against you during the pandemic, or you think that you may have one in the future, and we'll fill out that self-certification form, of course, to protect yourself, that as of September 1st, for any renters who are between 80 and 120%, sorry, of your county's area median income, there are case information statements required for landlords and tenants in eviction cases, case management conferences that are required, and settlement conferences as well. Trials are beginning, and court lockouts or lockouts from your current home may be happening, right, in the near future. These same actions may begin as early as January 1st of next year for renters with incomes below 80% of your area median income for your county. And also just remember, if your landlord files for eviction in court for any late payment, non-payment, or failure to pay a rental increase during the covered period that Janel mentioned earlier, you should also protect yourself through that self-certification form. Can't say that enough, that Janel mentioned. And I put the links in the chat in English and in Spanish earlier. So as Janel said, even if your landlord has not yet filed for eviction, but you've had any late payment, partial payment, non-payment, or didn't pay a rent increase again during that covered period, you should fill out that self-certification form as soon as possible to protect yourself in the future for that covered period. And the Legal Services of New Jersey also has this great guide in Spanish for New Jersey tenants' rights. So the link is on the screen, and certainly again, while we're doing Q&A, we can put some of these links that are in these slides in the chat, and certainly provide you with slides afterwards. And with that, we can move to Q&A if you would like.
So I'd like to direct you all to the bottom of your screen. There is a Q&A tab, which you may choose from in order to provide a question, or you can also use the chat. Doesn't seem like we have many questions right now. Let me remove.
While we're checking in, if it's okay with you, I'd like to mention one other program, which isn't rent related, but can be really helpful. For people who have arrears in utilities, who had trouble paying your utility bills during the pandemic, DCA has nearly $250 million that can help pay those arrears. A few weeks ago, we sent letters to more than 350,000 households in New Jersey in English and Spanish who have been identified by the utility companies as owing some money. When you get that letter, it directs you to a call center or the website. so that you can let us know if you were impacted economically by COVID. And if so, we can pay all or part of your utility arrears. So if you got that letter from DCA, would just like to remind you to fill that information, to go to the website or call the number on the letter. It's a letter from the Department of Community Affairs. It is for real. And it gives you an opportunity to let us know you were impacted. We already have your information on your arrears, and we can go ahead and pay off all or part of it for you. Originally, the deadline to reply was November 4th, tomorrow. We have extended that deadline to November 30th, the end of the month. So please, if you need help with your utilities, you can go ahead and respond to that letter. And you can also go to our website, nj.gov/DCA, and apply for help for LIHEAP or Universal Service Fund, USF, help with your utilities throughout the winter and ongoing. So if that will be of assistance to you, please call the call center, please go to the website, or if you have questions about utilities, you can call 211, NJ211, and they can assist you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Janel. Leila and Renee, anything else you wanted to share, Leila?
Yes, I did want to let folks know there's one other new fund that's available as well for any family that was not eligible for unemployment or the stimulus, the federal stimulus payments. There is the Excluded New Jerseyans Fund, which was actually just launched last week, and the application portal is live for that fund. And families can receive anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 in direct assistance. They just need to complete the application form online, and they should apply as soon as possible because the funds are very limited. So I will include that link in the chat as well.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you, Leila. That's very useful information. Renee, do you have any last comments?
No, just to say that I did put, I think all the links from the slides I showed in the chat now for folks who need them.
So as we shared, if you missed any portion of this webinar, it will be available on YouTube in English and Spanish for dissemination into the community, as well as links, all the links that were provided today, and the PowerPoint presentations in English and Spanish. We also, Janel also confirmed that New Jersey Department of Consumer Affairs will be sending us information that they have available regarding these programs in English and Spanish. Thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact New Jersey Citizen Action or DCA directly. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.